Hey everybody, this is Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from the Daily Signal dated April 29th, and it says, or it's titled, Leftist Reporters Pretend They're Not Partisan News Squashers. Yeah, that's what you're saying about this. I didn't actually read this article, but I thought the title was enough for me to shit on the media a little bit more, which I like to do because they suck, or the mainstream media. So let's go into this. It says 8 years ago, the leftist media took great offense to being dismissed by Donald Trump as fake news, which was very prescient of him because he was right, but they never seemed to grasp this is exactly how they painted the conservative media as truth-defying propaganda outlets. When the Trump trial turned to the National Enquirer, we could find national unity that the Enquirer defines fake news. The lefties are very excited to remind voters how the Enquirer was a Trump-allied tabloid full of garbage stories, but the liberal media spread some of them. So in May 2016, the Enquirer uncorked some garbage that Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas, had cheated on his wife. ABC, CBS, and NBC spent a combined 15 and a half minutes spreading the word of this character assassination campaign. And the pro-Biden media reporters, and I like how that's in scare quotes, were still upset last week about the Enquirer and how it played catch and kill with Trump accusers, squelching stories that might embarrass Trump. And that sounds like something the leftist media has done the whole time, or like the mainstream media, I'd go ahead and say. Like, it feels like they've squashed stories that, that would look bad for Biden or Obama. And, oh, what about the Hunter laptop story? Nope, not going to say anything about that. I mean, that's kind of like the big one. So it says NPR's David Folkenflik, sorry about that, complained to MSNBC's Nicole Wallace, the typhoid Mary of disinformation, go see that video on Rumble, that bearing salacious stories is not a journalistic impulse. It's not even a tabloid gossip impulse. This is essentially a partisan or propagandistic arm of the Trump campaign in all but name. And it's like, dude, you need to look in a mirror, okay? You work for NPRs. You don't get to talk about other things being propaganda. You quite literally are that. So it says, this is coming from NPR, which aggressively trashed the Hunter Biden laptop story as a pure distraction. Folkenflik engaged with the story only to dismiss it as a story marked by more red flags and investigative rigor. Turns out it was completely true, but, it's NPR, so if they're saying something is BS, you might as well go, oh, it's probably true. Says, when the New York Times and Washington Post published stories acknowledging Hunter's laptop was real in March and April 2022, Folkenflik didn't file a story with his regrets. He just kept attacking Fox News as usual bread and butter, because of course, it'd be admitting that, oh wait, we effed up. Again, and I'll say it right now for the first time, defund NPR. So on the Hunter laptop, we can throw it back in Folkenflik's face. NPR's suppression was not a journalistic impulse, and NPR was essentially a propagandistic arm of the Biden campaign in all but name. Right. So worse yet, we fund it with our taxes, and that gravy train should end. For the second time, defund NPR. Ex-CNN reporter Brian Stelter, said the same thing on Joy Reid's MSNBC show about the Enquirer. So you've got basically two black holes of misinformation getting together. I'm surprised like a singularity didn't open up and swallow the universe. So he said it has nothing to do with journalism. David Pecker's not a newsman. He's an advertiser. He's a marketer, and his product was Donald Trump. Thanks, Sherlock Stelter. Nobody should define Pecker as a newsman. I don't know. I know David Pecker's involved in the Trump thing, but I don't know who he is. And I haven't really been paying attention to the Trump trial other than just seeing all the BS that's coming out of it. Like Folkenflik, Stelter squashed the Hunter Biden laptop in 2020 as a Murdoch plot or as a Russian disinformation campaign because CNN's a marketer and its product was anyone but Trump, this is meaning President Joe Biden. Yes, everything to them was Russian disinformation. And oh, by the way, that was another thing that's been debunked. Anyway. Stelter also showed up on Alex Wagner's MSNBC show. Wagner was hopping mad, asking what's the point of a gag order on Trump when you have a media industrial complex that is effectively acting as a public defense line for Trump? What are you talking about? Well, first of all, you're on MSNBC, so you couldn't possibly know what's going on. You're being told what to say as opposed to having an original thought. It says, once again, Wagner can't imagine MSNBC acting as a media industrial complex for the Democrats. Right, it's just we don't do that, and it's like you guys are it. It's not that you don't, it's like just this whole thing, like you are the thing you're complaining about. So does Wagner wish the judge could issue a gag order for the entire conservative media landscape? Probably. No criticism allowed of the Get Trump prosecutors and judge. I thought this was a democracy. Yeah. I thought this was America. Sorry, I just had that thought in my head. So Stelter broke out the usual bravado that liberals live on Earth 1, and they must see what's happening on Earth 2, which is an alternative universe of hallucinations. Stelter claimed, for Jesse Waters, Trump is God, and that is the programming every hour of every day on these other networks. So Brian Stelter is someone who, he's the guy who lives in his Manhattan news bubble, and that's it. There is no outside world. The real person who lives on, if we're going to use, apparently DC Comics references here, Earth One is actually the right wing dude. You are the one that lives in the universe of hallucinations. Okay, I mean, do we need to go through how many things that CNN tried to pass off as actual news that turned out to be completely fake? During your time there, I mean, because I'm sure we could find probably a few dozen of them actually. Anyway, last paragraph says, that sounds like some crazy religion. Will Stelter survive a little fact check on whether Fox and Newsmax perpetually pray hourly to the Orange Lord and Savior? Both sides suggest the other side of the media is fake. Both sides are slinging a lot of opinionated hot takes, and Stelter can certainly flip a flapjack on that skillet. It's a good article. But yeah, I'd love some of these articles if they could to go into more about, like, if they're mentioning Stelter or anybody else saying, like, why, like, what they're saying is why they shouldn't be taken seriously. It's like you're complaining about, like, Fox News, but it's like, oh, well, you yourself reported on this, and that. Anyway, minor complaint. Still like the article. Go ahead and check it out. It is linked below. Let me know what you think about this. Do you agree with the headline here that leftist reporters pretend they're not partisan news squashers? Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.